ॐ ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। रामो राजमणिः सदा विजयते रामं रमेशं भजे। रामेणाभिहता निशाचरचमू रामाय तस्मै नमः। रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरं रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। रामे चित्तलयः सदा भवतु मे भो राम मामुद्धर। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। जय हनुमाना जय हनुमाना जय हनुमाना जय हनुमाना धीर वीर गंभीर हनुमाना धीर वीर गंभीर हनुमाना जय हनुमाना जय हनुमाना जय हनुमाना जय हनुमाना पवन तनय बल पवन समाना पवन तनय बल पवन समाना विजितेन्द्रिय तुम हो धीमाना विजितेन्द्रिय तुम हो धीमाना जय हनुमाना जय हनुमाना जय हनुमाना जय हनुमाना मन की गति से भरे उड्डाना मन की गति से भरे उड्डाना कपिसेना के तुम हो प्राणा कपिसेना के तुम हो प्राणा जय हनुमाना जय हनुमाना जय हनुमाना जय हनुमाना तुम अति प्रिय सिय राम लक्ष्मण तुम अति प्रिय सिय राम लक्ष्मण कृपया दीजे भक्ति निधाना कृपया दीजे भक्ति निधाना जय हनुमाना जय हनुमाना जय हनुमाना जय हनुमाना धीर वीर गंभीर हनुमाना धीर वीर गंभीर हनुमान जय हनुमाना जय हनुमाना जय हनुमाना जय हनुमाना। बोलिए पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। Hari Om everyone. Today is Saturday, so praying to Hanuman ji to bless us. We have been seeing different sadhanas in Sadhana Panchakam. Let us chant the first two verses. We are almost towards the end of the second verse, so we'll chant it together. Vedo nityamadhiyatam taduditam कर्मस्वनुष्ठीयताम् तेनेशस्य विधीयताम् अपचितिः काम्ये मतिस्त्यज्यताम् पापौघः परिधूयताम् भवसुखे दोषोऽनुसन्धीयताम् आत्मेच्छा व्यवसीयताम् निजगृहात् तूर्णं विनिर्गम्यताम् संगः सत्सु विधीयताम् भगवतो भक्तिर्दृढाधीयताम् शान्त्यादिः परिचीयताम् दृढतरम् कर्मासु सन्त्यज्यताम् सद्विद्वानुपसृप्यताम् प्रतिदिनम् तत्पादुका सेव्यताम् ब्रह्मैकाक्षरमर्त्यथाम् श्रुतिशिरो वाक्यं समाकर्ण्यताम्. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji has been giving us different sadhanas which will make our mind purified, make our mind quiet and make it more reflective. There are three things, it is said, which should be kept in mind regarding sadhana. First one is, sadhana should be drudha, means it should be firm. I should have this conviction that what I am doing as my sadhana, that will give me what I am looking for. Any sadhana, it could be a simple sadhana as doing nama japa. Initially, we might start that sadhana just because somebody has told us, or for children especially, because parents say that is why they will start doing that sadhana. But later on, that same sadhana, that sadhaka can start deriving strength from. It happens when we start getting firmness in that particular sadhana that we are doing. So that is the first point. Second is, it should have brilliance. Teja should be there in that sadhana. Means it should be done wholeheartedly, and every day we should discover something new in that sadhana. That is what keeps us motivated to keep going on that path. So dhrudata should be there, and then teja should be there in any sadhana that we do. And last one is, there should be joy in that sadhana. Initially, it might be a pain, because mind doesn't want to do those things right away. So either it is even 5 minutes of puja, sometimes you find it so difficult to remove that 5 minutes time. Some of us might have this sadhana of chanting some stotram. Mind initially doesn't want to do that, it rebels so much. But gradually, as we start seeing the result of that sadhana in our life, that gives a different joy. Mind will actually start looking for that sadhana now. If you are doing that sadhana early morning, that becomes one motivation to wake up early in the morning. Like let us say, you say early morning, 15 minutes, I am going to sit down in one place and meditate on Bhagwan, or do nama japa for 15 minutes. Initially, it's a struggle to find that 15 minutes time. But later on, as we get familiar with sadhana, and as that sadhana matures, becomes strong, and there is brilliance in that, we realize it is helping us in the day also. That short time that I spent in the morning is helping me be more balanced throughout the day. It's helping me respond in a better way during the day. So when that happens, we start seeking or seeing joy in that sadhana. And this is a greater, superior quality of joy because there is no object involved. Joy we get from objects also. But the joy derived through sadhana is a superior quality because there is no object involved. It is only Atmananda which is getting reflected in a quiet mind. That joy we are able to access. That which was unavailable to me when I was so busy in my daily life. Sadhana provides a window into that personality of ours, which is the source of bliss, source of joy. And that source, that small portion, provides us more support throughout the day. Okay, so with that bigger picture in mind, we have been seeing different sadhanas, not to get overwhelmed by them, but just to understand they help us make our personality more holistic. So last time we saw the sadhana where it was said, Shantyadif Parichiyatam. Gather all these inner virtues, inner wealth that will bring happiness inside. Outer wealth can give comfort, but inner wealth will give happiness. Inner wealth will give strength. That is what was said. And then we saw in detail what are those 6 qualities, Shama, Dama, etc. Now the next sadhana is Drudataram Karmashu Santyajyatam. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji says, after having gathered all these qualities, now you have to move further towards your goal. Previously, what Bhagwan had said, drop importance or mahatva buddhi in kamya karma. Desire prompted actions, don't have too much interest in those things. Now he is as though reaffirming that and saying, Drudataram karmashu santyajyatam. Those things which are proving to be an obstacle towards my goal, those things I have to firmly keep aside so that I can focus on what I want to do. Drudataram means firmly. Karmashu, all karmas, but we should understand here kamya karma. In the beginning, that is the way we should understand. All desire prompted actions means I need not do them. It's only because mind is getting pulled in that direction. That is why I end up doing them. Drudataram, those type of karmas, karmashu santyajyatam. Keep them aside now. And this is a natural evolution. Because when mind has become lighter, that lighter mind rises higher. It seeks something higher, and letting go of other kamya karma becomes easy for this mind. That is why it is said, Drudataram Karmashu Santyajyatam. Now, so it is said kamya karma you can drop. What about nitya karma? I have to do so many things. Nitya karma we saw in both ways. Sandhya Vandanam, Puja, those are also karmas. Those are Vaidika nitya karma. But in our life also we have so many other things. Taking care of family, going to work, cooking food. All those are also secondarily called as nitya karma. Can I drop them? Drudataram karmashu santyajyatam. So it is said, those karmas we should know how to divinize them. Means they will be there, but they won't bother me too much. I'll be able to make my way through them. In fact, those karmas will help me grow more. It will help me become more mature. If I can work with people in a way that everyone is together, that is karma, but even that karma will help me expand my vision, what we call as karma yoga. So nitya karma, in the beginning it is said, we should keep doing nitya karma. We should know what to drop and what not to drop. Qualifications, the only way it will come is through nitya karma. If we drop nitya karma, how will qualifications come? There is one bhajan where it is said, नाम जपन क्यों छोड़ दिया, झूठ न छोड़ा, क्रोध न छोड़ा, सत्य वचन क्यों छोड़ दिया. Means this devotee or this teacher is telling the student, or Bhagwan telling a devotee, either way you can take, that I told you to drop, that is true, but what did you drop? So the teacher says, you dropped taking name of Bhagwan. Why did you drop that? नाम जपन क्यों छोड़ दिया? क्योंकि उसको नहीं छोड़ना था. You should not have left that. What you should have left is kama, krodha, those things. But in our excitement to leave, we have swapped those things. What we should have dropped, that we have kept, kama, krodha, etc. And Bhagwan's name, what we should have taken, so this bhajan says you have left that. So we should remember on this path there is a systematic way of dropping things. So even Nitya Karma, Vedas themselves will say at certain point you can let go of them, but it is vihita. Vidhivat we should drop it, not before. So that is a great sadhana, that knowing what is my goal and what are the karmas, what are the things in my daily routine that are obstructing me towards that goal. And this we can see even in a simple university setting. I have seen many of my friends who are doing MBAs while they were working, and they themselves used to say it's not easy, it's so difficult that you have a goal of achieving something, but then you have other things also that you have to keep doing it. Versus those who can focus on something full time, then it is said you can drop that other thing and focus on what you want to do. So if you want to get an MBA, take a break. Drudataram karmashu santyajyatam. Do it, and then you can go back to what you are doing. On the spiritual path also, whenever we have to dwell on subtle topics, nature of Atman, nature of Bhagwan, all of them need that kind of a mindset which has sattva. So that is why this sadhana is given, that we should know to keep karma aside, at least for a short time, so that our mind is in the right framework. It is not under the pressure of what am I going to do next. For subtle inquiry, this mindset is needed. Okay, that is why this sadhana comes. But most importantly, if in our day we have packed so many things outside of what we need to do, then we won't have time for Vedanta study, which is our goal for a spiritual seeker. Study of Vedanta, knowing our true nature as unconditioned happiness, that would be the goal. So for that goal, I won't have time. I have so many things I have packed up and I want to do all of them. Then I'll have to pick and choose. What is my goal and what are the things I can drop? And again, those things I cannot drop, divinize them so they won't interfere with the goal. Okay, this is Drudataram Karmashu Santyajyatam. Now comes a very important sadhana where Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji said, you started somewhere, right? Vedo Nityam Adhiyatam, you did so much satsang, you heard Vedanta and you went to different satsangs. Somewhere you will meet your teacher. You will meet a person with whom you can connect well. That is what the sadhana is, Sadvidwan Upasrupyatam. To such a teacher, go and surrender yourself. And this meeting, of a teacher and a student, it's very wonderful because it is not decided by the student. It is decided by Bhagwan. Ishvara anugrahena eva pumsat advaita vasana. It's a very beautiful line that comes in one text. Means with Bhagwan's grace alone, this student will have a desire to know Brahma Vidya, to know the nature of Atman. What is my true nature? How can I be free from all suffering? That desire will be planted in a devotee's heart by Bhagwan himself. And the same Bhagwan will make sure that he appears in the form of a teacher to remove that doubt. So what is our role? Our role is very simple, be a good student. We cannot decide who will be our teacher, although we think that way, that I will go guru hopping, guru shopping. One teacher, 1, 2, 3, 4, these 4 qualities are okay, but for 5th and 6th criteria that I have in my list for an ideal teacher, those are falling short. So this is not working for me, let me go to the next one. We think that way, but for a sincere seeker, how we should understand is Bhagwan himself will send the right teacher in our life. And whichever teacher comes at whichever point in our life is the right teacher sent by Bhagwan. You know, some teacher might have inspired us to do Karma Yoga. That was also Bhagwan's grace. That teacher prompted us on this path. Now the same Bhagwan has sent another person, like that he keeps sending. But the main point is knowledge should take place in the heart. You know, that is the whole purpose of thinking about who is, you know, Sadvidwan Upasrupyatam. Gurudev used to give a beautiful example. He used to say, just like a flower, you know, when it has blossomed fully, the honeybee will come to it. It doesn't have to advertise or it doesn't have to go looking for a honeybee. And he used to joke and say, even if that flower is up in some mountain, Bhagwan Vishnu will have to take the form of a honeybee and tell Lakshmiji, Lakshmiji, just wait, I am coming. I need to go to that devotee, do something and come back. So he takes the form of that honeybee, goes to that place, meets that flower and then comes back. So this is that sweet bonding between a teacher and a student. But we should understand what is our part. Our part is only to be that sadhana, what Bhagwan Shankaracharya is saying, Sadvidwan Upasrupyatam. To this teacher with whom you have tuned up, be ready to tune up with that teacher's thinking. Upasrupyatam, one meaning is physically going like a snake. Srupa means sarpa. You know, sarpa, you have seen how a snake goes. Entire, you know, body itself is on the floor. Showing humility means when a student is going to a teacher, we should go like a snake, you know, srupyatam, just like a snake is moving. But in Vivek Chudamani, Gurudev again elaborates this portion. What does it mean to surrender to a teacher? He says, there is no need of using words. There is no need of using words and saying, oh teacher, I am here, and, you know, praising the teacher or anything like that. He says it's a silent surrender to the vision of that teacher. Means being ready to listen and understand what is the teacher trying to teach. He says that is this surrender. I might have some preconceived notions. I might have my own ideas about the truth, about sadhana, about shastra. But if I am able to correct the ones which are not aligning with my teacher, then I'll be the one who will benefit the most. What is moksha? I might have one idea, but if I am ready to tune myself with what teacher is saying, then it is called a great sadhana, Sadvidwan Upasrupyatam. So this will happen, you know, for a student, where we will realize that somebody is there with whom we see that they have a direction where they are taking us. They have Shastra with them where they are not just keeping us busy with, you know, things, but they know where we have to reach. So to that teacher, it is said, have this surrender, Sadvidwan Upasrupyatam. Now somebody asks, why do we need a teacher? You know, this word guru is very famous now. You have a finance guru, management guru. And in fact, guru is a word in the dictionary. You know, somebody who is very proficient in something, it is said to that person this title is given, guru. But here in spiritual knowledge, it becomes even more important that we should have a mentor. Because this knowledge is not something which can be understood by reading a book. Upanishad we can read, but that impact of understanding won't be complete. It won't be thorough, and sometimes we can misunderstand also. It is just like even in any profession, right, or any field, if we have to know the subtleties of that particular field, we need a teacher. I have heard this from many people that their music teacher was so particular that they would not allow the student to listen to a cassette and to listen to a recording and learn that song. Because the recording won't tell whether you are going wrong somewhere, whether some shruti is going off. So you need a teacher who can point out those things. On the spiritual path also, there are so many pitfalls. In Vivek Chudamani, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji tells us, how a teacher guides. There are so many, things which can obstruct the student's progress. Like sometimes when we listen to words in Vedanta, there is a tendency to get stuck at words. It's just like, using one word for the another. You say, what is Atman? Atman is Brahman. What is Brahman? Brahman is something which is all pervading. Like that it is. We are keep using different words, but a teacher will point us from the word, go to the thing it is pointing to. Brahman means I. Consciousness is my own nature. So that switch between word to the thing indicated by the word, that a teacher will point out. And sometimes there could be other obstacles also. Just like in Vivek Chudamani only, Bhagwan Shankaracharya says, Vag Vaikhari Shabdajari Shastra Vyakhyana Kaushalam. Means we might sometimes learn to elaborate or speak on Shastra, but thoroughly miss what is the essence of Shastra. So don't use the wrong metric to judge yourself. That is what Bhagwan is saying there. In spiritual path, the main metric of progress or success is how quiet your mind has become, how accepting we have become of the world, and what do we think about ourselves. Do we think ourselves as this body, or do we think ourselves as that consciousness which is all pervading? Versus what is the other metric? How good I can give a discourse. How good am I in remembering things? So Bhagwan says all those are erroneous metrics. Don't get caught up there. So the point is, we need a teacher so they can show us those pitfalls. They can show us where we can or where there is a chance of going wrong, going astray. Okay, that is why Sadvidwan upasrupyatam. Now we need an example sometimes to understand what is the best way of this sadhana. Who is the best student who has portrayed such kind of surrender to a teacher? Best example we can find is Nachiketa. The result of surrendering to a teacher is the teacher will be happy with the student. The teacher will find a new spot, in their heart for this particular student. Antaranga Priyaha it is called. But the question is, how will the teacher be pleased? How will the teacher be pleased? That is portrayed by Nachiketa. First quality he shows is his sadhana chatushtaya. 3 days he fasts. When he goes to meet Yamacharya, everybody comes and offers him food, water, so many things. He says, I'm interested only in the question that I have come here with. Without meeting the teacher, I won't take anything. Let me meet him first. After that, we can deal with everything. Second is, when Yamacharya comes and Nachiketa asks about teach me about that supreme truth. What is, nature of Brahman? So Yamacharya, before giving the teaching, offers him so many things, about the world and so many pleasures, and he says you will have a long life with lot of wealth. Nachiketa says, "Oh teacher, I am not interested in any of that. I just want Brahma Vidya." And Yamacharya, whatever he taught Nachiketa, Nachiketa assimilates it and narrates it back to Yamacharya when he asks. All these qualities, Yamacharya is so happy, with this young boy who has come to him as a disciple, and he says, "You are even better than me." In Kathopanishad, he says that. "I knew that impermanent things won't give permanent result, yet I sought for that." Oh, little boy, you are like such a Somya, so young, but still you had that kind of, ability to understand realities of life. And he's, goes on giving him so many gift after gifts out of that love. So this is that antaranga priyaha, making sure that we have qualifications so that the teacher is pleased to teach this knowledge. Another aspect is spiritual knowledge. The main purpose of spiritual knowledge is to remove this ahankara. So if we don't have Guru Upasatti, we might gain the knowledge, but that knowledge will remain mere information. Information to be transformation in our life, what we need is that ahankara going down. This happens with Guru Upasatti. So whenever the Guru gives instructions, at that time, listening to that itself is a sadhana. And the teacher many a times will try to prick that ahankara just to make sure that, just to check, is it still there or has it been removed? If you have seen the movie On a Quest, there is one episode that comes there. In Gurudev's life, he has written it also in many places. When he was living with Taponji Maharaj, one day Taponji Maharaj, gave some clothes to Gurudev to dry outside. So they had to go to the river, wash it and dry it out. And they had to dry it on a tree or a plant. They didn't have ropes and things like that we have today, dryers and things. So he had just put it on a bush kind of a thing. And when he was taking it out in the afternoon, Taponji Maharaj came and saw that his kurta was torn. There was a tear in the kurta. It was there before. But to test Gurudev, who was taking out the clothes, he says, "You tore my kurta." And Gurudev was shocked because he knew that he had not done anything. He had just, put it, and this tear was there from before. But he didn't say anything. And Taponji Maharaj, pricks him more and more and says, "You are a liar. You are still telling me that you have not torn the kurta, but you have done that." And it is said he was almost about to break down, where another monk who was there, he goes and convinces Gurudev and says that he is just testing you, stay here. And later on, he goes back to Taponji Maharaj, and then he says, that what he was trying to do there. He says, "This whole world is a lie. Why did this lie matter to you more?" Okay. This is the statement from the movie. I don't exactly know what Taponji Maharaj must have said. But the main point is this. When student has surrendered to the teacher wants to make sure, is this ahankara still there? And one quote that Gurudev writes about his teacher, Taponji Maharaj, he says, "You showed me the truth and also pushed me beyond." That pushing beyond is this ahankara, which is there in us, which it alone pricks us more and more. That alone is the source of bondage. So teacher makes sure that this ahankara is what is taken out, and then the student realizes what a bliss it is not to have that thorn. Thorn is this ahankara, you know. We feel it is good, but when we keep our feet, every time it keeps hurting us so much. So this ahankara also is like that. More we have it in us, we feel very good about it, but we don't realize that is what is hurting us so much in our vyavahara. Okay, that is why it is said, Sadvidvan upasrupyatam. Then comes another sadhana which says, Pratidinam tat paduka sevyatam. Every day do seva of the teacher's paduka. That's why we have Gurudev's paduka here, right? So that it's a reminder that no matter what we are doing, we are always serving Gurudev, always serving his vision. And the person who started this parampara of Paduka Puja, do you know who it was? Most of you must be knowing. It is said Bharatji is the one who started Guru Paduka Puja. When Bhagwan Ramchandraji was in the forest and Bharatji comes to know that he has been sent there for wrong reasons, he goes and pleads in front of Bhagwan and says, Bhagwan, come back to Ayodhya now. When Bhagwan is also firm, he says, if you are not coming, at least give me your padukas. And we have heard, you know, from Guruji in the last few days, in the last Manasa Bhakti Sutra also, how Bharatji used to keep those padukas on the throne and then run the kingdom. As though Bhagwan Ramchandraji is, not as though, really Bhagwan Ramchandraji is the king and he is only an instrument in the hands of that king. So this kind of a vision is very helpful for a sadhaka to keep in mind always that, you know, we are part of something big. That vision we should never lose. Anything that is required to serve my teacher, I am ready to do it. There is nothing called as a greater job, greater seva or smaller seva. Any seva, that is good. You know, I will not hesitate in doing that thing. And when a student has done all this thing, that is when it is said the teacher will teach. The right of a student to ask a question is only when that student has served. This was the traditional way in which teaching was done. In several Upanishads also we see, whenever a student comes to a teacher and says, I have a question, then the teacher says, wait for 1 year. Let me observe how you are doing. Means the teacher wants to know, does this student have real jijnasa or not? Does the student have required qualification to understand that truth? Gurudev flipped it around. We should be very thankful to his vision. You know what he said? He used to say that only the student who has this question, only the student who has qualification will benefit. So he used to say we don't have to worry too much about being the guardians of Mother Shruti. He used to say Mother Shruti is capable of guarding herself. If there is a student who is not qualified yet, he used to say that student will go to sleep in the class, which is okay. You know, at some point that knowledge will come. But he said, give this knowledge freely. Don't expect anybody to change. You change first of all. Because no matter how much this knowledge is given, unless we get that question, that answer won't make sense. Unless we have the question, why is there suffering in this world? What is nature of God? What is my own true nature? Am I this finite individual? Why do I feel like I'm always having a conflict with the world outside? These questions, unless they become our question, no matter how great the answer is, that answer will not work. That is why this particular sadhana becomes very important of tuning with the teacher so that we can benefit from the Shastra. Okay, so this is Tat Paduka Sevyatam, making ourselves available to this teaching. Then comes a beautiful sadhana. Once the student has gone to a teacher, the teacher gives a sadhana called Upasana. It's an immediate answer to the question of the student. Before we go into Upasana, I'll tell what is this sadhana. Brahmaikakshara martyatham means understand and meditate on Omkara. What is Omkara? Omkara means when the student is saying, is there something called as unconditioned happiness? The student went with lot of questions to the teacher, and the teacher said, the first thing the teacher says is, there is something. You said that you have a lot of sorrow, a lot of problems right now, but there is something which is free from all sorrow, free from all problems. What is that? Then the teacher says that is called as Brahma. Bhagavan, whom we say, that Bhagavan alone is the supreme source of happiness. Being away from Bhagavan, we have gone somewhere else, and we are trying to seek happiness in those things. So teacher is trying to point our attention back to Bhagavan. But now the teacher is raising the student's understanding of Bhagavan. What is that? Now the teacher says Bhagavan is that consciousness which is pervading this entire creation. Name of that consciousness pervading entire creation is called Omkara. Same Omkara, another name is Bhagwan Rama. Same Bhagwan Rama, another name is Bhagwan Krishna. You give so many names you want, but what is happening now is that student is able to recognize Bhagwan not only in one form, but as that consciousness pervading all entire creation. This step is very essential before going into Mahavakya. What is going to come now? Vedantic understanding, before we go there, seeing Bhagwan as this entire creation is one step before. And it doesn't happen naturally. That is why this is a sadhana. Do japa of this Omkara mantra. With this understanding that same Omkara is that which is pervading this entire creation. Practical benefit of this understanding is, no matter where I go, I will never feel insecure. Whichever place it is, sometimes we tend to categorize places as good and bad, or favorable and unfavorable, which is okay. That helps us have viveka, where we should go and where we should not go. But understand the essence of this thing. No matter where we go, we are never insecure, because Bhagwan is there in that form, in that place. Because his entire creation, which part of creation is he not there? This is in particular if you go to a foreign country. Those of you who might have visited somewhere, if you have to stay there for a long time, and one, you don't know the language, you don't know the people, no familiar friends. So in places like that, you feel very insecure. So if somebody has understood nature of Bhagwan, no matter which place we go, there the feeling is, or the understanding is, I am always with my Bhagwan. He is only appearing as the people, he is only appearing as the creation. So this is a great sadhana, and we should understand the import of that sadhana. Okay. Next time, what we will do is, we will look at the meaning of Omkara. In a simple way, we won't go too technical. There are so many, karikas written in Mandukya for explaining that word, Om. What is Omkara? But simple essence we saw today. That consciousness which is pervading this entire creation is called as Omkara. That is how we should understand. Even in the beginning of the class, when we chant Om, sometimes our mind is not even there. It is not in Om. But once we know the understanding of Om, we should just chant it with that, bhavana. That I am meditating on Bhagwan who is pervading this entire creation. Okay, so we will pause here, and there are some announcements and few questions we will take and continue next time. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. So we'll take a few questions that were submitted last time. If we are very different, if we are at very different levels in journey of sadhana, how do we keep on the path when there is constant challenge from family members on the journey? Self-development, if it causes distress, how should we find a balance? So this probably is in the context of all sadhanas that we have been discussing so far, that if somebody in the family is very motivated to do sadhana and be on this path, and there is not sufficient support from other family members, how should we find a balance between both? One thing about this self-development or sadhana is, it's never in conflict with family life. If we feel it's in conflict, then we have to think again. Knowing how to balance and be cheerful in a family, that itself is one sadhana. If we can be in a family without causing too much, conflicts, effort put from our side in bringing that stability, that itself becomes one sadhana. If a family life is such where, we say, my preference is not very important in the interest of the family. Just this thought is a great sadhana. I might have an opinion, but in the interest of, everybody, if I have to take a step back, then that itself becomes a sadhana. This is beautifully portrayed in Mahabharata when the commander has to be chosen on the Pandavas side. Yudhishthira asks all the Pandavas, who should be the commander? And you can't just make a statement. You have to make a statement and justify it. Why do you think this person should be the commander? And everybody gives their opinion. Everybody has different opinions. We won't go into what their opinions were. But the point is, everybody says different things. But finally they say, Yudhishthira, whatever you decide, we will go by that. Means what? My opinion is there. I don't say I have no opinion. But for us to stay together, I need to take a step back. If you agree with my opinion, well and good. But if you think somebody else should be the commander, you go ahead. And Yudhishthira, as we know, says, Bhagwan, you decide. You are the one who is a well-wisher of all. So that is one aspect, knowing how to take our opinion back. That itself is a sadhana. What we saw as titiksha and everything, right? Inner wealth, everything is included there. Second sadhana, what comes in sadhana panchakam only, Bhagwan is going to say later, natu vrutha vakyam samucharyatam. Means, in English, if you want to put it simply, let us think before we speak. Taking time to respond or taking time before we respond. That Bhagwan is saying is a sadhana. Now you tell me, in family life, do we need this or not? Many a times we have gone through this, where best is to understand with an email. Okay, sometimes when we type an email and you say, let me not send it today. Let me think over it, and tomorrow let me reconsider it. you realize when we think with a calm mind, quiet mind, we say that is not needed now. Let me either change the way what I was going to say, or my response will be different in that regard. So this sadhana we see even in our family life, right? All of it will help us have a cheerful and a happy family life. Natu vrutha vakyam samucharyatam. And lastly, this we had seen, I think in Ramayana or somewhere, when it comes to sadhu purusha lakshana, good qualities and bad qualities reside in all of us. In the same person, there are good virtues and there are not so good virtues. And it is up to us which one we want to give more importance to. In ourselves also and in others. And more we give importance to these good values or good virtues in other people, we realize they have another personality also, which is what we need to strengthen. That is what we will also benefit from. So this thought, there are two aspects that we can bring out more, either their negativity or their strength. Bringing out their strength, if that becomes our thought, it is said that itself is a sadhana. We don't have to go too far. Just these three things if we can keep in mind. And all are from sadhana panchakam only, right? Any saint's life that we have seen, Sant Tukaram Maharaj, Namdev Maharaj, their family support was not what we think. They had a very tough time having everybody understand what is their devotion for Bhagwan. It is said Tukaramji Maharaj was, sometimes criticized so much by his family that once, the family member said, you go and bring something for, everybody to eat. And then he had a farm that had sugar cane. So he goes there and gets, bunch of sugar cane. But on the way, while he's coming back, there are so many kids who are running behind him, who are hungry. So one by one, he starts giving those sugar canes to all of them. And by the time he reaches home, only one is remaining. And his wife gets so angry, she takes that sugar cane and starts beating him with that. And while he hits him, it breaks into two. So he says, oh, glory to the Lord. You take one, I take one. And he starts eating it. But understand the context. What it means is, they also did not have an easy life. So if we are able to be that glue in the family, keep everyone together, that itself is a sadhana. Okay, it will never be in conflict with what we are studying. One question is here, which is more in terms of number of classes that we are attending. So the sadhaka asking, in a week I am almost attending 10 classes now. Do I also need to attend a study group? Okay, there are different centers that I am attending because now everything is online. So I hear here also, there also, so many places. Should I also attend a study group? Whenever we come to spiritual knowledge, right, we should understand that what is most important is how much have we owned up. More than the content that we are listening to, we should also spend time trying to internalize whatever we have heard. That is an important aspect, and study group will help us with that. So we should always balance it. Listening is Shravanam, study group will help us reflect and own up that part. Our Swamiji used to say, whenever we are eating, it doesn't matter how much we can eat. What matters is how much we can digest, right? That is what will give us a healthy body. So both have to go hand in hand. Shravanam will give us this knowledge, but that knowledge should become one with me, right? That becoming one portion is part of Mananam. You will realize sometimes when you listen to a lecture, this used to happen to me all the time, we feel that we have understood. Oh, so many things are said, that is great. But then if somebody asks, can you summarize what was the lecture, 1 hour? And you are surprised sometimes we hardly have like 1 point or 2 points. Means it evaporates very quickly. Especially if it's a subtle topic, then the evaporation is like even like that, drop on that dosa pan. You just put it, before you can see it's gone. So something like that happens with us. So study group helps re-emphasize those ideas. If we can just reflect on those same things again and share what we have understood, which is in line with what Shruti is saying, what the text is saying, then we will benefit. Okay, so that is how we should look at it. Okay, I think we'll pause here. All right. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Hari Om everyone.